Now, you're probably wondering how I lost 150 pounds from not going to the gym and starting from my couch. And I found this kettlebell video. You know, kettlebells actually really helped me a lot. Not just kettlebells, eating, because before when I picked up the 20-pounder kettlebell and I started working out with it, I couldn't even stand up because my back was hurting. I remember when I realized I had to lose the weight. You know what I mean? I wanted to be there with my children. I wanted to see their children. I wanted to play sports with my boys. Like I was doing nothing with my boys, just sitting behind the computer, sedentary, not doing anything. So I had to focus more on the diet. And believe it or not, when you're trying to lose weight in your early stages, you can just lose weight on diet alone. You don't got to do nothing. Your body burns at least, for me, it was like 2,700 calories a day or 500 calories just by movement alone, right? So what I did was I started fasting, and it's a funny story because in the fasting I learned about salt and started cutting back my salt. Went through a whole lot of headaches, so I'll get into that later. But in the fasting, I was eating one meal a day. No, no, I'm lying. First, it was 2 meals a day, so I would have 6 eggs in the morning, which kicked me in my ass later because I had high cholesterol, right? And I was eating the chicken in the evening. So once I realized I had high cholesterol from eating eggs, and trust me, you don't have to eat eggs. They tell you you do, but you don't. I cut back on the eggs and I was doing one meal a day because I was very nervous. I didn't know what I was doing. My body was just all over the place and the feelings and how I was reacting since I had that bad effect from the medication. The cabbage and the fish was doing it. But then I realized there's days I was waking up with no energy, losing my energy. And that was because I wasn't getting enough calories, but I was dropping a lot of weight. I was dropping almost a pound a day for a month just from one meal a day, cabbage and just fish. But the thing is, I wouldn't tell you guys to do that because when I lost the calories, I was suffering, no energy. I was lost in my mind. I was blaming it on salt. I was cutting back my salt. And then the fact that I was low sodium was affecting me on top of it. You know what I mean? And I started fixing my meals better, started focusing on the calories to make sure I had that calorie deficit. So you want to have a calorie deficit of 500. If you can go lower, 6, 7, I'm not no professional. That's what I did. I had like 700 calorie deficit and I was losing weight. And once I started losing the weight, like in a week, I had like 5 pounds lost. At the end of the month, I had 10 pounds lost. And then it started getting better every month, 20 pounds the next month. I was slowly able to start walking again. And I started doing 2K walks. I would walk around the block. Um, I started doing that every day, because by time I understood that I had high blood pressure, I wanted to make sure that it came down, and walking was the way to do it. So from that tow truck, if you know about the tow truck story in my past video, once I did that first walk and realized I can walk, I was so appreciative that I was able to walk again. And I started doing 2Ks a day. And then all of a sudden, more weight was dropping off on top of my food deficit. But what I recognized was you want to eat enough protein to maintain your muscle, because in that deficit, your body will eat your muscle, right? And I didn't want it to eat my muscle, so I maintained my protein and I had nothing but vegetables, no rice, no potato, no juices. Like I just stayed away from the wrong carbs. No breads, no pastas. I stayed away from that. Even potatoes, I stayed away from. I eat some now. I stick to sweet potatoes. I didn't even go on a keto diet. It wasn't even keto. It was just a nice whole food diet, like how they used to eat back in the day. And my weight started coming down. My high blood pressure was fixed. I was drinking Dr. Yaki juice. It was the juice. If you have high blood pressure, I'm not saying I'm medically astute. I'm not. This is just my experience. Handful of parsley, handful of cilantro, two cucumbers peeled, seven Granny Smith apples, a thumb of ginger, and a whole lemon with the skin on. I juiced it and drank a cup a day, sometimes twice a day, but you got to make sure your kidneys are together because it's a lot of high potassium and high magnesium, and if you don't have proper kidneys, you won't be able to get rid of the potassium and the magnesium through your, when you go to the washroom, right? But long story short, I was doing that. I was walking, I was eating well, and I realized that I wasn't paying attention to my temple. And me starting to love my temple and my organs, I had to in loving my temple and my organs, I realized that I was getting healthier by the day. The compound of just going for those walks, watching my food intake. I bought a scale. I watched the scale. I'd watch what I'd eat and how it'd affect me. I watched my scale every day. It's like almost I was all over my scale. Like you got to know what you're putting in your body so the body can deliver. And what I noticed was I spent 50 years of not understanding what I was eating, how it affected me. And I was almost in a position where I could have learned the hard way. It just took a side effect from a medication for me to realize I wasn't treating my body well. And the body goes ignored. And once I started treating my body well and started to watch what I was eating, the weight started shedding like crazy. Like, look at me now. You know what I mean? I mean, I went from 6X to 2X shirts, 6X to 2X pants. And the kettlebells, I killed them now. The kettlebells, it's all about cardiovascular. Once you get the cardiovascular going and the kettlebells going, because it helps with the cardiovascular and the walking and looking for hills, walking up and down these hills and getting the balance back and get your joints going, it becomes easier over time. And losing that weight, I contribute a lot of it to just getting rid of food that cause inflammation. So I became vegetarian about 4 months later. Once I became vegetarian and I took my blood test like not even a month, 2 months later, all the markers came back great. It was it was a shock because I couldn't understand. They tell me I needed protein. They tell you need to have this much calories, but they're not explaining that how you get these calories is important. You want to make sure those calories are nutrient dense, and eating is supposed to be something simple. So we love the flavors, we love the entertainment of it, we love how they put the foods together, and your body becomes addicted to these drugs. I call them drugs, like flavors. Flavors is a drug completely. And they're overdoing the sodium on you. The sodium and the lack of magnesium and your potassium ratio is lower than your sodium ratio. It's causing you to gain weight because the sodium is what retains water and puts pressure into your veins. But I'm not going to get long-winded. What I did to get that 150 off was change my eating habits, focused on more fibers, vegetables, and fruits, got my calories that way. I did start off with meats and I was still meeting my markers. But then as I grew more and learned more about food and learned more about diseases, I cut the meats out. But this is my experience, and in cutting out the meat, my everything went away. My visceral fat dropped from 29 because the thing didn't go no higher than 29, so I'm pretty sure it was over 29. Now I'm able to mark it. I'm at 19. My goal is 14 visceral fat, and I'm at 19 right now within 6 months. And that's how resilient your body is. But you got to start by going to get your blood test, understand where you're at with your blood. You know what I mean? Understand what's going on with your kidney and your liver. A lot of us get scared to look at it. Colonoscopy, cytoscopy. I don't know what the women go through, but I would say go get a thorough check. Buy one of those scales that let you know everything. You know, they check your BMI, your BMR, your weight, your muscle mass, your fat mass. Keep an eye on it because you want to pay attention to how your body reacts to food because everybody's body reacts different, you know? So if you really want to lose that weight, I guarantee you just eating alone can make you lose weight quickly, right? Make sure you have enough protein because you don't want to lose your muscle. And then as you drop the weight, you'll be able to get off the couch and start pushing some weight, start doing more exercise, start getting that cardio in. And your life will change after that because mine did. That's my experience. Thank you for putting up with me. Um, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ask me anything down there. This is my second video, so I'm getting used to it. And I'm going to get into more showing you some pictures about my journey and getting you to understand sodium. It's a big deal. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium. You always want to make sure you have double the potassium to sodium every time you eat. Look at the back of your bottles. Look at the back of your food bottles. It shows you what's in it. And majority of the time, you're gonna see sodium through the roof because this is what they make food. This is how they make food taste good. It's how they make you come back. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna have sodium through the roof in certain things, my suggestion is get all your broccoli, get in your cabbages, your bok choys, get all of those in so you can balance out the sodium. But at the same time, the highest marker of sodium is 2,300 milligrams, right? So go and calculate how much sodium you're eating on a daily basis, and then you can probably see why you're getting that high blood pressure. Look at your magnesium. How much the pumpkin seeds are you getting in a day? How much there's so much you gotta think about when it comes to this eating because they're not teaching you. They never taught me the right thing. Let me say that. I'm not gonna say you. From my experience, I realized that they weren't teaching me the right thing. But I'm gonna do a sodium video for you guys because it's a big deal. Magnesium video and a potassium video, so you guys can get your act together. But remember, this is all my experience. I'm not a doctor to give you any type of advice, but I can only show you what works for me. So I feel like it's only important you figure out what works for you. All right? Thank you for putting up with me. And you have a great evening, morning, day, wherever you're at. Just enjoy it.